Yo, what's good? The best at what I do is back again, the assassin like no other. Yes, indeed. Bringing back the old school style. This video stems from a discussion I had with three of my dudes, three of my dogs, three of my homies in this YouTube and otherwise online. Shout out to Northside Z, the young legend that he is, the wild Northside. Shout out to Dalton, another unknown, low-key legend. And shout out to Ray / Wild King, a definite legend up in this game. And it stems from a discussion first with Toriko, but as well as with other, Hinamaru Zumo, Kuroko no Basket, various other series I can make, Dragon Ball, and it deals with competition causing or lack of thereof prohibiting evolution and advancement, things of that nature. It's a very interesting, fascinating discussion because while I'm taking it from fictional accounts, it very much, if, and here's a big if evolution is actually allowed to properly occur and there are no inhibiting factors acting upon, no external or in some cases internal, but those are much rarer, I assure you. If there are no prohibiting factors limiting evolution from taking its course, then competition is a factor to help breed forth and progress evolution, whatever facet, usually in a progressive, positive manner, if you will. Now, when it comes to what shall I start with? I'll start with the discussion with Toriko, okay? Because this was the real stemmer, and it had to deal with the 8 kings, okay? When it comes to the 8 kings in Toriko, I had stated to all three of those gentlemen that I saw the 8 kings as more than what I anticipated, but also less than I anticipated. And what I meant, even though it seems contradictory, is actually a paradoxical situation because it's timing, okay? Timing and placement of where they came into the series. The reason I said I expected less is because at the time they came in earlier than I anticipated. And so, since they came in earlier, they exceeded my expectations with their abilities, powers, how strong that Mitsutoshi actually made them, as well as the capture levels. Not that I thought the capture levels were around the same, maybe a little higher, but I thought, in comparison to the Blue Nitro and to Acacia, to Midoro, Jiro, and Ichirayo, Setsuna, all the top tiers, I knew they would definitely be up there, but I thought they would be a little bit lower, and they were absolutely dominant. The problem is they could have been so much more. Here's why. If they would have been later in the series, I'm pretty sure Mitsutoshi would have even fleshed him out more, but he has his own way of where he's going with writing his story, and I get that. It's all cool, and especially if they're going to other planets and you deal with more powerful creatures. It makes perfect sense. Here's the thing. It's not so much that the point in the story of what's limiting. The problem with the 8 kings is the very fact of the planet in which they're on. You see, the 8 kings were limited. What is evolution? Okay, evolution, for those who don't know, and I'm not going to get into the entirety of it. That may deal with an entire long other discussion of what actually evolution is, rather than what people say. I'm actually most likely going to write a book concerning those matters and the full extent of what evolution is. But anyways, evolution is pretty much change over time. That's all it is. It's not this magical force that causes things to occur. No, it's pretty much change over time. And change can occur in a multitude of ways, which, again, requires a much more in-depth discussion. Now, while it's change over time, the ingredients for evolution to occur are natural selection, adaptation, and isolation. Those 3 elements are fundamental to cause the evolution of individuals is a little bit hard. Humans more so develop than really evolve individually, but the evolution of a species, of a race, of a culture, etc., of a society. Okay, natural selection, isolation, and adaptation. In an offshoot, you could say, take for example, China. Okay, isolation, and Japan. When they isolated themselves, they caused for a certain set in very different ways, okay, with a certain set of evolution. It caused, just the isolation alone for both nations caused a slew. Warfare had to do with it. There's a prompting of what caused warfare, but there's elements, but it caused, pretty much what I'm getting at is that just isolation alone caused for certain paths for those two nations and way in the past to go down, for example. So you have these three elements, okay? Natural selection, adaptation, and isolation. And what that has to do with the 8 kings in this case is you have a planet that, okay, it is much larger than this Earth, but it's still relatively small in consideration of how powerful and how rapidly developing the gourmet cells could be, how rapidly developing the 8 kings. They are anomalies. They are mutations, to say the least, of even amongst the gourmet beasts. Okay, so you have these very powerful creatures who natural selection has allowed them to rise to alpha states, to the predominant predatorial states that they are, that they exist in. Now, when you look at isolation, they are isolated from one amongst each other, even though they come into contact originally. There are no other competing factors, and I'll get more into why that's important and why they are inherently isolated in a second. But also the adaptation, they have a stunted growth. They've adapted to as far as they can go because the planet has no competition to allow them to progress. Same thing with isolation. They're isolated. They cannot come into contact, and they don't really have a beef to come into contact. They're not fighting over resources. They each rule a place. So all they do is just sit there, reside. I mean, we look at Bambina's just tossing around a rock for fun. Moo's just going around, just eating when he feels like it. Heracles is chilling, having a kid when we see him, her, whatever. Bird King, Emperor Crow rules the sky. Darus is doing his own thing. They were all doing their thing, but they weren't really. There was nothing to cause them to evolve even further, to become more potent, to refine their skills. So they were just there and they were just chilling. That's why the 8 kings, they weren't disappointing, but that's why the 8 kings were limited. That planet. You had the Blue Nitro, but the Blue Nitro wasn't trying to mess with them. You had guys like Acacia, Jiro, Ichirayu, Midora, Setsuno, Lady Chio, if you want to include her. You had very powerful entities, but they're not trying to mess with them. You had the 7 kings in Area 6 with another, but they weren't trying to mess with World King Moon. So you had these, but they weren't doing anything. It's the same situation you have with the Yonko, the Shichibukai, and One Piece, as well as the Marine. They're all very powerful entities, but they're not going to war with each other. That's why this past era seemingly was weaker than Roger's era. Whitebeard / the Great Pirate era was weaker because you didn't have these competing factors. Those competing factors in Roger's era made the strong, supersede the others, made the strong stand out, and then the strong went at it. You had Goldie Roger, who eventually became the Power King. He was clashing with Golden Lion Shiki. It was said by Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, that he was constantly him and Roger were constantly going at it. Then that produced Shanks and others, They followed up. They became more political and invested and stuff, and they're like, we're gonna sit back and just rule and reign. That's why you have the Yonko state. Okay, that's why you have the Shichibukai state. And the Marines are not actively pursuing like Garp did, like Sengoku did, like Zephyr did. We don't know so much about Kong. So you have a state. It's evolution, but it became stagnation. Okay, and stagnant does not mean progression. Stagnant just keeps things, stability, or just stops. It stunts growth. In this case, competition is necessary. When you look at Uchiha Sasuke specifically, I mean, if you look at, if you go back to the older generations in Naruto, you have much competition. They were warned. So, you had characters like Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama, third Raikage, third, Hokage, and Hiruzen Sarutobi, and others come up and become potent and very powerful shinobi, very powerful warriors, very powerful ninjas, because they had these very powerful entities to go against. Sasuke, for example, is a specific case in this generation because, he would have stagnated, but he wouldn't have become very, what would have happened to him is what happened to Kakashi, okay? Kakashi stagnated. Kakashi had so much more potential, but he stagnated because he had no competing factors to go against. Now, when it comes to Sasuke, so it led Sasuke away from, and people, I can do an entire discussion video on Sasuke alone, why, and I may end up doing it on why his choices were actually not wrong in his specific case. But anyways, you had Itachi pushing him to evolve. He gave him this angle, and was kicking his ass. He was just whooping him. You had Naruto on the rise with being side. I can't remember what they're called that have the Bijou inside of them, but it doesn't matter. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It slipped my mind at the moment. And you had another guy like Gaara, who eventually became the Kazekage. Okay. You had guys like another Bijou holder with the 8 tails, Killer Bee. Okay. You had Rock Lee, who was another Rock. You had a guy like Hyuga Neji. You had Aburami Shino. You had these various factors, okay, that caused Sasuke to keep pushing forward. Instead of just relying on his genius, if you will, you had others on the rise. So you had him continue to strive for it. And he's like, you know what, I need to go after Orochimaru and to come up, and to come up. And unlike Naruto, who just was pretty much given his jump, Sasuke, even though he was given the eye, he did come up through his own power. He was taught, but he did come up because he had these other factors pushing him to compete and evolve. That's why he and Naruto became equals at the end, even though Naruto had a natural advantage. People say Sasuke didn't have the natural advantage, Naruto did. Naruto clearly, the Kyuubi, you can't justify. The Kyuubi was OP as a mug. So OP. But Sasuke at the end of the day was on par, if not superior to Naruto, because Sasuke had competing factors that allowed him to evolve. When it comes to Dragon Ball, perfect example of the evolution. You had Son Goku. Well, he was a driving force for a lot of people, but Son Goku didn't stop. It's like they were kind of indicating, even in Dragon Ball Super, why Lord Beerus had, Monaka be that fictional, most powerful in the universe. It caused him to strive for it as a goal. There's that. He had dudes, Tien Shin, Yamcha at one point, Krillin at one point, Master Roshi / Jackie Chan, eventually Piccolo Jr. / Piccolo. You had Mercenary Tao, Demon King Piccolo, and Vegeta. Vegeta wasn't even, people talk about Vegeta's hard work, that's because of Son Goku, because he had a rival, he had a goal to strive for, as well as, he saw that Son Goku was working his ass off, so he's like, yo, I better work mine off. So it kind of helped with that, which also pushes Piccolo and even encourages Tien to keep doing what he does. You take that for what it's worth. Competition, you look even in the filler arc with the Other World Tournament, the Grand Kai's like, oh, these young bloods, I better start getting on, I better, get my weight up, I better start getting back into the game because they about to surpass me. So you get that kind of stuff with the competition. You see even more so in the episode rather than in the manga. Manga does it a bit different, but the fight with Son Goku versus Hit, you have, Hit is evolving because of this competition with Son Goku. And they're pushing each other to the limits. They're pushing to see where each other can go. You see that in JoJo's from time to time. Okay, Dio's trying to push himself. You had Ultimate Form Cars to a degree. Joseph pushes himself. Hinamaru Zomu's all about that with these young bloods. Okay, these national treasures are making everybody, from the pros to the kids who have potential, to the kids who don't even have potential. Everybody's weight's getting up. headhunting generation, as I affectionately like to call them, and Hajime no Ippo, meaning Makunouchi Ippo, Mashiba Ryo, Miyata, Ichiro, Sendo Takeshi, Alexander Vorg, Zangief, all of them, and of course, and I can include Wally up in that piece. You know, they're causing everybody to rise and take notice. Even Takamaru to stay on his grind, because you got him with these young bloods that outshine him. So, you know, even to keep pushing him forward towards his goal, and even keeping you know, old timers or becoming old timers, journeymen like Kimura and Aoki in the game, as well as, you know, inspire Itagaki and his upcoming generation to come up. Competition, you know, I could go on and on, but I think y'all get the point. Competition is imperative for the evolution to, you know, of anything. If you look at, for example, people complain about, oh, this era is soft in basketball and then this was. Look at the level of competition. How high level you got overall. Not just a few stars, not just a few dominant forces. Look at the amount of competition. Look at all sports. I mentioned NBA because a lot of people, it's easy to pinpoint because you had individual players more so with basketball. But look at all sports. Look at various leagues. Look at various teams. How competitive is it? What the era of legends? We talk about, I know Recon, if he watches this, or anyone who's in the WWE, any professional wrestling. What are we talking about the Attitude Era and such? We're talking about legends. I know I had a discussion with some of them, Moose, if he watches this, okay, and others. We're talking about legends, right? Legends. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, okay. Eventually, you know, even lesser legends, Christian and Edge. You know, you had The Undertaker. You had Kane, right? You had Mankind. You had, of course, Hulk Hogan, Goldberg. You know, people talk about the Heartbreak Kid, Bray Michaels, Ultimate Warrior at one point, or Sting, my favorite wrestler of all time. You had the tag team, the Hardy Boys, and the Scotty 2 Hotty and his group, the Dudley Boys. You can go into all the legends, right? Trish and Lita were lighting it up. You had legends going at it, and what you have is you have a golden age. You had competition producing better. Kurt Angle, anybody? Come on, he was an Olympian. Let's go. So, now all I'm saying, you know, you can take this in so many paths in life. Okay, you need competition, legit competition, to produce better. I use the example, and I'll end this with this. You can have the best ball in the hood, okay, with basketball, soccer, football. Football, soccer, football, rugby, you know, baseball, hockey, you name it, it doesn't matter. The best ball in the hood. He's going to only be so limited and so good, or she, volleyball, because of the environment. Environment is a good part of what evolution occurs. It's not just your person. It's both nature and nurture. I definitely believe in both. I definitely see both evidence and scientifically with empirical evidence. So take that for what it's worth. This video may be a little bit longer than anticipated, but I wanted to pack as much content, as many examples to get people to understand in a variety of manners. Alright, have a beautiful day, have a beautiful night, peace, and I hope this video is instructional and educational. And you know, again, this although I use a lot of fictional examples that a lot of people are familiar with, it extends to all facets of life, because evolution extends to all facets of life. Alright, y'all.